everybody. Welcome to the latest episode of the Figures and Flippy Shit podcast, where we are going to review our best and worst moments of the week for AEW, WWE, which includes NXT. I want to remind you guys to subscribe and follow us and like our video and leave a comment. Let us know what your picks were for the best and worst moments of the wrestling week.
Yes.
So I guess we could just jump right in and start doing our list.
Yeah, well, before we start, we didn't have an episode last week because we went to Payback in Pittsburgh. Just wanted to say it was a really fun show. We had a really great time.
It was fun.
Probably my favorite main roster event that we've been to.
Yeah.
I still think the NXT lives that they used to do at Stage AE probably take the cake because those just had a whole other feel to them.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, Payback was a really fun show to be at. So I just wanted to say it was great. It was fun to be part of that crowd. So yeah, that's why we were out this week. Now we're back this week. Yes.
We're back.
All right. So do you want to kick us off with your?
Well, we can do list? Do you want to do our dislikes first?
We always do the dislikes.
Per usual, Chris always has more than me. So why don't you take away with your dislikes then?
All right. So my number 4 dislike, and let me keep in mind, a lot of these things don't necessarily enrage me. More than dislike, this would fall more as under annoyances, I guess you would call it. Because there's nothing that I've watched recently with AEW and WWE or NXT where I've looked at that and been like, wow, I hate that. I haven't had anything like that.
Yeah.
But for me, number 4 was, they had a really nice Intercontinental, like an honoring during Raw because they were building up to Gunther and Gable in the main event. And because of that, they showed like all of the past like major champions that have held the title. And my number 4 dislike is it really bums me out that WWE won't work with other promotions because I feel like 2 people that were left off that list that shouldn't have been were Bryan Danielson and Chris Jericho. So I feel like if WWE played nice with others, it would just enrich their history more because they can say, you know, look at this person that went here and because they were successful here, they were able to be successful there. Like, you could spin that easily to make yourself look like the better promotion.
That wouldn't really be like the best choice for Danielson, but...
Yeah, but I mean, like, I don't know. I just feel like if you expanded your history like that and stopped ignoring people that left your company and embraced them, you would be more likely to have these people come back into the fold eventually.
No, I get that, yeah.
So it really bums me out that WWE won't play nice with the promotion. WWE was all over AEW this week because MJF was talking about NXT and all that. And I know for some people that really, like, they don't like it. But for me, like, it just makes the wrestling world feel more cohesive.
Yeah.
So, plus, I mean, if you have your own promotion on an island, then, like, it's really hard to explain, like, where people came from and why you should care that they're there.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of funny to me if they bring people in because they're popular somewhere, but then won't talk about the place they came from and why they're popular in the first place.
Yeah.
So that was my number 4. Number 3 for me, I came to this conclusion during the Rampage match between the Bucks and Daddy Magic and Matt Menard. And it got me thinking, the JAS, the Jericho Appreciation Society, ran for over a year. And the most that we're getting out of it right now is that Jericho and Sammy have a match at Grand Slam, which is fine. That's a match that's been building for a while. But my main question is other than that, did Jericho Appreciation Society really help anyone? Because Anna Jay's back to what she was doing, just kind of, she was in a 6-man or 6-woman tag match on Rampage. She was just teaming with a couple heels. She doesn't really have any story with them. Daddy Magic and Matt Menard lost to the Bucks in a match that didn't even get a picture-in-picture commercial break. Jake Hager is kind of their manager right now. Danny Garcia is MIA. He's kind of out in the wind.
Yeah.
So for me, for an angle that ran that long with that many people involved, for nobody to really have seemed to have gotten any benefit out of it is a shame.
Yeah.
And I'm somebody that, I usually stick up for Jericho in these kind of situations, but I can't look past this. I feel like nobody that got involved with this really benefited from it at the end of the day. And maybe we're still waiting for that benefit to come, but right now it just kind of feels like it dissolved and there was no plans for any of those people except for Sammy Guevara. Which, like I said, is a shame. It's a damn shame. I love Daddy Magic and Cool Hand, and I wouldn't know them if it wasn't for the Jericho Appreciation Society, but it bums me out that we're not doing anything significant with them.
Yeah.
So that was my number 3. My number 2 is more of a rail, I guess, on how things operate in general rather than just wrestling. But for me, ads have gotten out of control. Like, I can't watch a 10-minute YouTube video without having 2 ads pop up in its place. And everywhere there's just ads. There's picture for everything. It breaks up wrestling shows so much when you're trying to watch them, especially during a match. But the part that I really watched it and considered it egregious was egregious, yes.
Oh.
Was on Dynamite this week. So, the main event was Darby Allin and Nick Wayne. Which was a pretty good match between the two of them. I didn't expect anything different. Christian Cage comes out. Christian Cage starts to walk over to commentary. And I'm like, oh man, we're going to get Christian on commentary. This is great. And then they're like, we're going to take a picture-in-picture break. And I was like, you just brought Christian, your best talker, out on commentary to talk shit. And then you go to picture-in-picture where I can't hear him. That was mistake number 1. And then I looked at my phone because I was like, man, how much is left of the show? It was 9:55, and you wanted to run an ad 5 minutes before the end of the show. On Fox, SmackDown wraps up in 2 minutes. We do not. The last 10 minutes of the show should have no ads in it whatsoever. You need to make sure your main event is as intact as possible. And it pisses me off that you took Christian, put him on commentary. I only got half of it because of your stupid ads. And then you're going to run an ad 5 minutes before the show. Fuck that and fuck you. You know, the ads, all you do with your ads is you piss me off. The only ads that get to me and make me want things is the food ads. And that's because I'm a fat kid. That's going to work. But the rest of it, like Progressive pops on 9:57, fuck you, Progressive. I'm watching wrestling.
Well, you don't like that guy on Progressive commercials anyway.
That has nothing to do with it. Progressive is just the first thing I thought of. And I understand on Fox, they're a sponsor and all that, and yada, yada, yada. But whenever the ads ran on Dynamite, I kept count, and I'm pretty sure, I didn't write down the count, but I'm pretty sure I remember the count. So, ad break at 9:55. So, I'm thinking, okay, we're just running one quick ad. And the first one was a Collision ad. I was like, okay, we're building Collision. That's fine. It's AEW. I hate it, but I can tolerate it. But no, there were 6 ads the last 5 minutes of the show, and you had the gall to run a commercial break with 6 fucking ads. That's bullshit. The ad culture is out of control. I'm so tired of all these products being shoved in my face. Just leave me the fuck alone. If I want something, I'll come find you. That probably should have been number 1.
You mad, bro? Because you got mad.
That irritated the shit out of me.
I can tell.
That irritated the ever-living shit out of me.
I can tell.
That, you know what? Forget what I said before. That should have been number 1. I made a mistake here. And let me just say that my statement from before where I said these are mostly dislikes, no, this is a hatred. We're going to put this in hatred territory. My number 1, which is an annoyance and should be number 2, but it's number 1. I do not, and this is somebody, I've loved the Bloodline story all this way through. I've taken up for it when people said it went on too long. I was like, let's let it play out. Triple H loves the long-term game. I want to see what he's got planned. That's been me this whole time. However, on SmackDown, out of fucking nowhere, all of a sudden, Jimmy's motivation is to get back in the Bloodline? Are you fucking kidding me? I watched this whole story. Jimmy was the first to break off. Even Michael Cole brought that up. He was the first to break off. He's the one that convinced Jay to turn. He comes back that night, tells Roman, fuck off, it's not about you. And now he wants to get back in Roman Reigns' good graces and suck up to Paul Heyman? What the fuck? No. This is Vince shit. I'm watching for Hunter shit. If I want Vince shit, I'll just stare at what I leave in the toilet and leave satisfied. That's garbage. That is garbage.
So
and I hope that it's some kind of ruse or something, because if this is the direction we're going, it's fucking stupid and Roman should have lost at SummerSlam. That's my dislikes for the week.
Oh my god, you can't act all happy now. You just went straight savage.
I have to switch into positive mode.
I mean,
But
I did have one dislike. Can I say mine?
Yeah, go ahead. I thought you were implying you wanted me to run through my whole gamut.
No, I didn't know if you forgot about me over here with your rampage and everything.
No, when you said to go about my dislikes, I thought you wanted me to do them all.
No, that's fine. I mean, the only dislike I have was the Christian coming out with 5 minutes left. I will say I'm not as angry as this man over here. It was just a minor inconvenience and I was over it, but...
Listen, you promised me Christian speaking and then you don't deliver. That's not a mild inconvenience. That's an act of war.
To me...
To deprive me of Christian, this version of Christian, is an act of war, and this aggression will not stand, man.
I mean, yes, I know it sucked. I was a little upset, but I wasn't this angry over it.
I've had 2 days to stew on it.
Well, that was my
2 days to stew on Jimmy. I've had 3 days to stew on Christian.
that was my only dislike. I will agree, though. If I would have thought, I would have put the bloodline stuff down, because whenever I was watching it, though, like, I don't understand why Jimmy's running back to them. Like, I don't understand. Like, let's just end it if you're running back with stuff like this. Like, I don't know. But that probably should have been.
And maybe
me.
there is a point. Maybe they're going to tell the story that, you know, Jimmy's codependent. He has to have somebody. But you know what? No. Here I am again, sticking up for the bloodline story. No, it pissed me off. I'm not doing it.
And also, the bloodline just doesn't seem that intimidating to me now. Roman's never there.
Yeah.
I'm tired of hearing about Roman's reign, of how Roman's reign.
Yeah.
I'm tired of hearing about how amazing this is. And it's like, he only shows up like...
He's defended the title twice since WrestleMania.
Like, yeah, so...
I'm sorry. He's defended it twice, counting WrestleMania, since WrestleMania.
I'm definitely kind of over the bloodline stuff. Now, don't get me wrong. If Roman Reigns would have showed up to Payback, I would have still, like, screamed like bloody murder with excitement.
Yeah, because he actually showed up.
But I'm very much over it, and it's like, this whole storyline, it just needs to be over. I think they should have ended it. Honestly, I wish they would just... I didn't want Cody Rhodes to be the winner, like the champ, but I wish they would have just given it to him and it had been over.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that.
But I mean, that's just my dislikes, and I feel like I'm the angry one usually on these videos, but I'm not that angry. But let's move into our positive stuff. Let's do the top 10 moments.
Yeah, let's turn the tone around on this.
Yeah. Let's get rid of the anger. Yeah. And let's be happy.
Yeah.
So, do you want to do your top 10 first, or do you want me to?
You start, because I went on a rampage first.
Okay. My number 10 pick for my top list is Von Wagner versus Braun Breaker. And I debate even putting this on my top 10, honestly, because I feel like it's gone a little too far post this match about how, like, well, I guess I'll just explain what it was first. So, the thing that I wrote down was Von Wagner put Braun through the wall, like Braun Breaker does to everybody else. He literally put Braun through the wall. But then it just got even more crazy because it ended with Braun Breaker hitting Von Wagner it was the stairs, right?
He did pretty much a concerto with steps.
And then it just went black. So you didn't actually, like, the screen went black. So you didn't see him do this, but you heard people screaming. And now Von Wagner...
You heard Baron Corbin on commentary go, he did it!
And then you have these reports that Von Wagner is, like, a bloody mess, and it's like... In the hospital. And it's like, okay, like, at first I was like, yeah, but then whenever I was making my list, I was just like, man, I feel like NXT went too far again. Sometimes I feel like they go too far. So, like, it was good to watch, but...
It was something that after you marinated on it for a little bit.
Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, it made my top 10 list, so I did enjoy it, but I don't know. I
mean, the ending was in consideration for me. Because you don't see endings like that, and that's one of the things I love about NXT is NXT will do things different.
But my thing is, I want to see it happen, and I get there in this PG thing, but like, I want to see him get hit.
Yeah, but I feel like also, though, at the same time, this is a great way to get across brutality in a PG way.
I guess,
to me, it's a pretty creative workaround.
It is, yes. I'm not the biggest fan of Von Wagner.
Mm-hmm.
Braun Breaker's not my top people, so, like... Yeah. I think that's what I'm struggling with this. Like, I enjoyed it. I just don't like them.
I think this is the best Von Wagner's been since he's been in NXT. He's got something that can get him over.
All that he says is like you're going to get tabled.
Yeah, but it works and it gets people excited. I mean, it's an easy way to get the crowd on your side. And his promos haven't even been that bad. I mean, I always laugh at the Come Tuesday because of the comments, but even his promos are coming across pretty believable. Like, I am getting more interested in Von Wagner as time goes on.
See, I'm not. But I've just never really liked him.
Yeah.
But what's your 10?
For my number 10 is actually Toni Storm. Just what she's doing in general. I love this character she's got going where she's like this, like, she thinks she's like a flapper era, like 2030s era actress that's like a starlet.
Yes.
Sometimes she's Marilyn Monroe. And she just comes across a little Looney Tunes these days, but I love the commitment that she puts into it.
Yeah.
And honestly, I just love that something, and I don't mean any disrespect by this to the talent themselves. This is all on booking. But I like that Toni Storm gives me something in the AEW women's division that I think about during the week, and it makes me happy to think about it and wonder where it's going to go next. AEW is not the strongest at that with women, but Toni Storm has given me something to latch onto to be like, oh, I can't wait to see what crazy shit she does this week.
It's just on booking to not ruin it at this point. Because Toni Storm has me convinced that she can rock this new gimmick that she has going on. I just don't trust the booking. It's a sad state of things. But, it is.
But thank you, Toni Storm, for giving me something in the AEW women's division to look forward to every week.
Yes. So my number 9 top moment of the week was Mustafa Ali versus Dragon Lee with Dom refereeing on NXT. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, Mustafa Ali and Dragon Lee, they're going to put on a good match. Mm-hmm. And then you have the added thing with Dominic, and I cannot help it. I love Dominic Mysterio. Mm-hmm. I don't know what it is about. Actually, I know what it is. He's a little shit, and I love little shit heel wrestlers. They are my favorite.
There was a picture that came out this week of Dominic Mysterio curled up with a blanket with his title. I showed it to you the other day because the Homer Simpson responses after were funny. But somebody in the comments of that thread made a good point. They said, has anybody noticed that anything that Dom's done has turned to gold since he got with Rhea Ripley? Like the videos of like him going to Ray's house at the holidays, like Rhea Ripley's TikTok doing stuff with him.
Yes.
There's some kind of thing with chicken wings that's been discussed this week that Dominic did that now that's a thing that people talk about. That's why the chicken wings were in the bed with him in the Homer picture I showed you. But yeah, it definitely seems like Dominic can't do anything wrong right now.
No.
And his heat is still massive. Like we were at Payback and Dominic would come out in matches, like the whole crowd was just...
I know, like we would hear people yell, "There's Dom!" And then everybody would start booing.
Yeah, I mean, at one point I was caught up in the moment, because that's what happens at live shows. You get caught up in the moment, especially if you're having fun.
Yes.
And Dominic came out, and I think it was during the Rhea Ripley-Raquel match, which... honestly, I wasn't that invested in the first place.
But the crowd was very rude in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff thrown at Raquel that probably wasn't warranted. No. I understand Raquel's got troubling views, but there were things being said to her that no woman should deserve to have said to them.
No, do better.
But
Pittsburgh.
anyway, Dominic comes running out, and I'm in the moment, and I just go, "God damn it, Dom!"
You did, yeah. But I was over there cheering like crazy.
Yeah.
I think I was the only one in our crowd cheering, or like in our section cheering.
Yeah.
But
so I get where you're coming from with Dominic.
Yes, but I really love, and the match itself, this NXT match was good. Like, Mustafa Ali, Dragon Lee, they just did well together. And of course there were the shenanigans with Dom, because he was reffing, so he like slow counted for Dragon Lee, but he did a fast count for Mustafa Ali. So
he was calling it down the middle, and then Dragon Lee got in his face, and then that's when things changed.
Yes, and so Ali is going to face Dominic at
No Mercy.
So I really enjoyed that. So that was my number 9 top moment in the wrestling world.
Okay. For me, number 9 this week was the fact that we have now teased and seem to be confirmed. Well, we are confirmed, so it's going to happen in 2 weeks. We're getting an Asuka Io Sky feud.
Oh, I am so pumped for that.
I'm here for that.
Yes.
I love Asuka. I love Io Sky. I love
Yes.
that. I love that they pulled the trigger on Io Sky.
Yes.
I love that they kind of also have kind of killed off the whole tension with Bayley thing, and they get to be a united group. It reminds me of when everybody was waiting for Britt Baker to turn on Jamie Hayter, and she never did.
Yeah.
So I like that. And with MJF and Adam Cole, I just really love right now that a popular theme in wrestling at this point is friendship wins. I love that. It's very wholesome. Very wholesome.
I guess one thing I probably should have done as a dislike, now that I'm thinking about it, is the Shotzi stuff.
At least Shotzi's back.
But I feel like the storyline's kind of like done at this point. Like, I get they're still, I don't know. It's just, I'm not that pleased with Triple H's booking of the women.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how he could be so good at it whenever he did NXT and not be that great at it now. Like, there's no contingency with, there was the Nikki Cross thing. There was Shotzi. I don't feel like it was very, like, I don't know. Like, it just seems very, like, disjointed.
Yeah. I think it's also important to remember that, and I'm not making excuses for Triple H, but I think it's important to remember at the end of the day, too, that everything, even though he doesn't have a hand in the day-to-day as much, it's been confirmed. Everything goes across Vince's desk before it goes on air.
Yeah.
So who knows what he's doing to it as well.
True.
Plus, you know, there is the theory also out there that Shawn Michaels booked the women in NXT when Triple H was there.
I mean, that would make sense because the women's division still in NXT is booked pretty awesome.
It's pretty solid.
It is.
It's a solid division. There's a lot of good future talent there.
Yes.
And Shawn Michaels has really figured out how to showcase it. The NXT is the only one that seems like it has consistent multiple women's stories that don't revolve around the title.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see that.
Yes. My number 8 moment was on Raw was the Gunther and Chad Gable match.
Okay.
I just thought Chad Gable had some good time to shine. It was just a good match all around. And I'm going to sound so mean when I say this, but I really liked how his kids cried at the end. How Gable's kids was in the crowd and they cried. And I don't know why, but I liked that. I'm like Christian right now. I'm like laughing at children crying, but it was, I don't know. It just added to the moment. So that was my number 8 pick for the week.
Okay. I'm not going to expand on that too much yet because later in this video, I'm going to gush over this match. So I'm just going to wait till then.
Oh, you gave away the anticipation.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. All right. So my number 8 this week, honestly, was the Miz segment on Raw.
I thoroughly enjoyed that.
So Miz did a Miz TV segment, and he had special guest John Cena. Well, John Cena was getting ready to go to India, so he literally had an empty chair and said that he had an invisible John Cena. And it didn't stop there. He would ask this John Cena questions, respond to his answers, and then John Cena didn't want to get out of the ring when the Miz told him to, so the Miz missed a clothesline on invisible John Cena, grabbed him, and hit him with a skull-crushing finale, and then got up and then just went about his business.
I'm such a sucker for goofy things in wrestling. Yeah. I love that.
But then I love how he tied it all together at the end because he got really serious about it.
Yes.
And he was like, the chances of LA Knight being successful are about the same as the chances if there was an invisible John Cena actually in this ring.
Miz is killing it right now.
Dude, it's like they put Miz with LA Knight and Miz was like, I gotta put on my...
Look what I can do.
Yeah, I gotta put on my... I gotta show this kid how to do it.
Yes,
and it's funny because he's not a kid. He's 40 years old. But yeah, Miz has really been cooking in this LA Knight feud.
He has. I have thoroughly enjoyed Miz.
Yeah, it's given me pause enough that I really want Miz to have one more go at a decent title reign.
Yeah.
Maybe not world title, but definitely US or Intercontinental.
Yeah.
Now, let's not get crazy. I don't think that he should beat Gunther. However, it would not upset me because they're talking about this whole situation where a superstar from Raw needs traded to SmackDown to replace Jey Uso. It would not hurt my feelings at all if you brought The Miz over to SmackDown in the trade, since he keeps coming over anyway to feud with LA Knight, and then let Miz take the U.S. title off Rey Mysterio, that would not hurt my feelings at all.
Oh, yeah.
And then you could have Miz run that for a few months, revisit the LA Knight feud, and have LA Knight take the U.S. title off of Miz.
Yes.
I think you could do that. I think people would be happy with that.
Yeah.
I think you could tell a good story with that, and I think The Miz could get some more shine out of it.
Yeah, agreed.
So that's personally what I would do.
Okay.
But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed The Miz's work. I've always enjoyed The Miz's work, but I really enjoy it with LA Knight.
Yeah, I agree. He's been killing it.
Yeah.
Well, my number 7 moment of the week was whenever Judgment Day was celebrating their win. And it made me funny. It made me funny. It made me laugh because everybody was really able to say their thing, like what they wanted to say. It comes to Damian Priest. JD McDonough interrupts. Like, Damian Priest just kept getting interrupted. And I'm intrigued to see what they're going to do with JD McDonough in the group. Like, is somebody going to leave the group? JD McDonough just going to join it? Like, I really enjoy the Judgment Day stuff. So I loved all them celebrating. Like, they were like, we're better than the Bloodline. And I was like, okay. All right.
I mean, you guys show up to work every week, so there's that.
Yes. So that was my number 7 pick, and I just love Judgment Day.
And I love that they're having McDonough try to make some inroads with Priest because he brought him that new custom Money in the Bank
briefcase,
which is really fun. Nobody's held on to the Money in the Bank long enough to have a personalized briefcase, so it's cool to see that brought back.
I like how they keep teasing Damian Priest going to cash in. Like, at Payback, the crowd was we were chanting for Damian Priest because we thought he was going to come out, but that didn't happen.
Yeah.
And then we had at one point, I'm pretty sure, wasn't he back there with Rhea Ripley or something backstage, and they were watching a fight, and she was just like, not now, not time.
Yeah.
So I just like how they're teasing it. And I just love Judgment Day right now.
And I love how Priest even planted some seeds or actually commentary planted the seeds that now that Priest can go to SmackDown as well, Roman should look out. And it dawned on me, that's a great way to utilize your Money in the Bank threat in both places, given the pieces that you have to work with.
Yes.
Do I think Damian Priest is going to cash in on Roman? Absolutely not.
No.
But I love the idea that commentary has teased it. And it definitely seems like with the end of SmackDown, with the Judgment Day helping out with dispatching AJ Styles, it definitely feels like there's some kind of relationship that's going to bloom there. And I think it's a great way to have Judgment Day focus on that for a little bit. So that way, if Priest does come back for Rollins, it could be more of a surprise.
Yeah.
Like, when he pulls the trigger, it's going to be like, oh man, they're peered onto Roman now. Oh shit, Priest is doing it. Like,
yeah.
I think it'll help add to that surprise factor.
Agreed. Yes.
So yeah, I would agree with you. A lot of good stuff came out of that segment.
Yes.
For me, my number 7 is the fact that we're getting a Swerve and Hangman feud on AEW. I on this show for weeks, if not months, I have been a big proponent that Swerve Strickland should be a main event player and be a world champion. And he even brought up in his promo that he wanted to be the first black AEW world champion.
Yes.
I think this would be an excellent feud for him to come out of looking stronger than he ever has.
Yes.
Because of the type of player that Hangman's been in AEW. And Swerve even kind of highlighted that Hangman's kind of had this fall where Hangman does kind of feel directionless.
He does.
I will grant it that, especially for somebody that early AEW seemed to be built completely around.
Yes.
He definitely feels like he's in a different area at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is a great opportunity for Swerve to come out big in a feud that he needs to, and for him to become an important player. Because that's what I want. I want Swerve to be a major player. I hope that Swerve one day is world champion because I think he absolutely deserves it.
Agreed. Absolutely agree.
Yeah. So that was number 7 for me.
Well, my number 6 was Toni Storm. So I agree with you. I love Toni Storm, what she's been doing. Like, I love how she throws shoes at people. What did she say to Renee Paquette in her interview? Head up, tits out.
Something like that, yeah.
Like, watch out for shoes or something like that.
Yeah.
And whenever she said tits out, you were like, did she just say tits out? And I was like, yes, she did. So I'm just like, I'm really enjoying Toni Storm. Like, I really hope that AEW booking does not ruin this, and I don't have faith in them to not ruin it.
Mm-hmm.
They're not that good with the long-term storytelling. They give up, like, the littlest inconvenience, and it's like,
well, we do one of two things. We either do that, or we have a big inconvenience, and everything just goes on pause.
True. So
both options are not great.
No. However, focusing on the positives, though, loving this version of Toni Storm.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
I would agree.
Yes.
100%. For me, number 6 was a moment that came from Raw. So Jey Uso had his return to Raw this week, and Sami Zayn came out, and they kind of reunited. Sami said it was good to see him. They had a nice hugging it out moment. Yeah. It was fun. And then Jey goes to the back. Well, the next match, and this is what I love, when the show has flow like this. Yes. Dynamite did this week too.
I love it.
Dynamite's flow alone almost made my list until the commercial break.
Let's not get back into that.
That we will not speak of anymore.
We will not get back into that angry territory.
No, but anyway, so Drew comes out. Drew has a stare down with Jey. Drew goes to the ring for his tag match because Sami tells him it's his first night back. Let's not do this. So Sami seems to be the Jey advocate right now. Yes. And if Kevin Owens is nursing an injury, this is probably a good thing to do with Sami.
Yeah.
Which I kind of suspect that he is, because he wasn't there, and then he was out for a little bit before the match. What he went through at Payback.
Backlash. Yeah. Payback. Wait, do they have a backlash?
They have a backlash. It's right after WrestleMania.
Payback. Yeah. I don't even know what pay-per-view we went to.
Yeah. But anyway, so Drew let it go. He headed to the ring. Well, then the next one out's Riddle, and Riddle has a stare down with Jey. And Sami Zayn does the same thing. Not here. Let's not do it. And it's funny because Riddle's usually so like carefree, and even he was just like had this look of.
Can you do your Riddle impression?
No, I can't. That was a one-time thing. But I love the fact that even though Jey Uso is a good guy, the consequences of what he's done seem to be going to be biting him in the ass on Raw.
He screwed, like, in the bloodline, they screwed over everybody.
Yeah, and I love that this is something that I do love that the bloodline did this week. I love that even though Jay's not part of the group anymore, he's the only one feeling the consequences over on Raw.
Yeah.
So I think that's interesting. I think that's going to set up an interesting dynamic for him being on that show.
Yes.
So I really like that we did that. So, I railed on the bloodline earlier, but this was something that I actually enjoyed.
I feel
and
like
honestly, it didn't really have much to do with him.
I just feel like Jey right now is in a really good spot. I like how they're booking Jey.
Yeah. Jey Uso has definitely... Earlier when I said that I didn't know if anybody benefited from being in the JAS, Jey Uso has absolutely benefited from being in the bloodline.
For sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely for sure.
Yeah. I would say both Usos, but Jey especially.
But Jimmy's back in that cycle now, so I don't know.
I mean, when we were at Payback and Jimmy Uso was introduced by Cody Rhodes,
oh gosh,
it was loud.
It was.
There.
We were
Everybody
not expecting
was so happy to see Jey.
Yes,
ourselves included.
Oh yeah, you were even doing that dance with them.
Yeah, for like a second, and then I
think you got paranoid.
And
I think you got paranoid.
And then I was like, "Oh shit, this could be on Peacock. I don't want to end up on the cock that way." Yes, that was done on purpose. I know what I said. So, anyway.
We can go over my number 5 now?
Yeah, top 5 territory.
Yes, okay. My number 5 is something that you already talked about, was the Swerve and Hangman stuff. I really enjoyed it. I really like Swerve. I think Swerve is so good. And I don't feel like we've gotten to, like, see him shine here lately. Ever since him and oh my gosh, who was
Keith Lee?
Yes, ever since him and Keith Lee broke up, I just feel like they both, like him and Hangman, have been kind of like just going along. They haven't really had like I don't want to say a point, like a feud or anything. They're just coming going along. So I'm very excited for this. I agree. I really want Swerve to have a title. Like, I just really enjoyed that. They were so good.
I really thought they were going to have Swerve take Orange Cassidy's international title. I really thought that was going to be the end game there.
I did too.
I mean, I'm fine with Moxley having it, but honestly, if I'm being real, Swerve, I think, needed it more.
Honestly, if I'm being real, I think Orange Cassidy should have had a little bit more justice done for him, and he should at least had one storyline.
Well, he kind of did with Swerve, kind of. It started to get there, and then they had the match, and then just ended.
Yeah, there was never like a story. So
his biggest story was honestly probably Kip Sabian in the very beginning.
Yeah,
that's probably the closest it came. But even then, like, what did that do for Kip Sabian?
Right. But even then, definitely that was my top 5 moment though of the week.
Yeah.
So what's your number 5?
My number 5 was the fact that LA Knight got some pretty good shine this week.
He did.
On SmackDown. So Miz is still pissed at him. So we're going to do that again. They're fighting next week on SmackDown, Miz and LA Knight again. But number one, he beat Austin Theory, and he did it cleanly with Grayson Waller at ringside.
Yes.
That's a big deal.
Which, I didn't put this on my list, but I'm loving Austin Theory and Grayson Waller together. Just an FYI.
I like the name that they gave them, A-Town Down Under. I like that.
Yes.
I like it's stupidly simple, but it works.
Yes.
So he beat Theory clean with Grayson Waller, which is great because he didn't beat Theory the first time. So we're definitely putting him above Theory a little bit, which is good because Theory's in a really good place.
He is, yes.
But it didn't stop there. Paul Heyman was talking backstage with Adam Pearce, I believe is who it was.
Yes.
And LA Knight came in, and LA Knight and Paul Heyman crossed paths for a little bit. And Paul Heyman pretty much told LA Knight, if you told him how big of a fan he was and everything. And then he said, but if you know that I'm in here, you need to make sure
he tried to
intimidate LA Knight, and LA Knight just stared a hole through him.
And got in his face and was like...
So I don't know if we're going to get LA Knight all the way to Roman's radar. I don't know if we're going to get that far with it. That could be something really fun to do with the Royal Rumble.
Ooh, what if they have Jimmy fight him and Jimmy loses, and that just further separates the bloodline?
It could. Ooh. But I could see them backing into LA Knight having a Roman feud at the Rumble. But I don't know that it's going to get that far. I think the furthest they'll take it is LA Knight will get on Solo Sikoa's radar.
Yeah.
But after that, I don't know if they're going to push him all the way to Roman. That's going to be because, not very many people get to feud with Roman outright.
No.
There's been a lot of people.
He has to show up to work for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is why, when they were saying that, Priest could cash in on him, I was like, well, Roman got to worry about Roman. He's going to go to the island. Oh, my God. Now I want a segment of the Judgment Day arriving in this purple boat on this big imposing island that has a volcano with, Roman's face on it, like in Austin Powers 2.
Oh, my God.
And Priest just takes his briefcase through this area where he passes by all these people. There's, statues of Roman and different, Superman punch poses.
What?
And then, Roman's on a throne with this big, ridiculous thing on his head. And Priest is just like, I'm taking that title.
This isn't a movie, though. This is wrestling.
No, but NXT would do this shit. And don't tell me NXT wouldn't do this shit. Because they would. Yeah. They would. But no, that's another, let's put that in the file. It would be really funny for me, but don't do that because it'd be really dumb.
It would.
But now I kind of want somebody to animate it in a cartoon.
My number 4 is just, we already talked about this, but I am just so pumped for the Io Sky and Asuka feud. Mm-hmm. I am so pumped for this. I put that number 4.
Okay.
I don't even know what else to say about that. It's just that I'm pumped. I think it's going to be awesome if they both have time to shine.
Yeah.
Yes.
So my number 4 has multiple parts, because the segment itself had multiple parts. So this comes from Dynamite. So first of all, MJF and Joe got on the mic against each other.
Yes.
I am super down for that. I have been a fan of Samoa Joe for years.
That was awesome. And the two of them together doing mic stuff that they're both excellent at, hell yeah.
Yeah, and they were just taking shots at each other. And like I said earlier, MJF said he was going to send Samoa Joe back to NXT where he belongs. Samoa Joe was throwing barbs left and right. Yes. They got into a scuffle and all that. So then Joe is working on MJF's neck because we're telling the story that MJF's next week. His neck is weak. Yeah. Adam Cole comes out to help. So Adam Cole is helping MJF to the back. Joe has left. Joe went to the back and then came back out to talk more shit and then left again, which is why I love Samoa Joe.
Yes.
Is for shit like that. And I want there to be the visual of Samoa Joe starting to walk backstage and Tony Khan's back there like, go talk more shit. And Joe's just like, all right, fuck it. That's what I want. But anyway, so Joe has left and Adam Cole and MJF are making their way to the back. And then we hear it. We hear my favorite sound in AEW. Adam! It's like, oh, Lord. So Roddy Strong comes out. He has the Kingdom with him. He has his little echo chamber with him. And he's got his neck brace on. And Adam Cole's just like, Max's neck's in a bad way. We gotta go to the time. Roddy's like, my neck's bad. Like, with his neck brace on. And he's like, you don't care. And Roddy Strong's killing it as the jilted ex-girlfriend. He absolutely is. Like, I want him to start taking shots at Britt Baker. Like, that kind of thing. So Roddy Strong goes out. They take his neck brace off. He wrestles a match perfectly fine. He beats Trent.
Okay, yes.
He beat Trent. Sorry, Trent. Didn't mean to forget you.
Oh, man. And we love you. We love best friends.
Yeah. So he beats Trent. And then after he beats Trent, he puts the neck brace back on to walk to the back. And I love everything that's going on. This whole segment, this was just a 30-minute block of joy, is what this was.
And obviously you needed it after your dislikes this week.
Yeah. So I really enjoyed that. I'm really excited. I feel like this tournament is just a vehicle to get Samoa Joe to the final, but also at the same time, Roddy's on the other side of the bracket, so there is a little bit of intrigue. And, my prediction is Joe and Roddy's going to meet in the finals because I think what Roddy Strong keeps forgetting is his broken neck is not MJF's fault. It's Samoa Joe's fault.
Yeah.
And Samoa Joe is not even on Roddy's radar. And maybe that's because within the story, Roddy's like, yeah, I'm not calling out Samoa Joe. I'm not stupid.
See, I just thought she was so fixated on Adam Cole and MJF.
It could be that too. That's got all of his focus.
He's fixated on this.
Yeah. So I do think the finals are going to be Samoa Joe and Roddy Strong. We're on our way there because Roddy Strong beat Trent on Dynamite. Samoa Joe beat Jeff Hardy on Rampage.
And I don't want people to forget that Roderick Strong is like an amazing wrestler.
Yeah, he is.
And I feel like we're forgetting that with all of his shenanigans recently, but he is an amazing, amazing wrestler.
It's like when we watch Being the Elite and I see Kenny Omega do something absolutely ridiculous and I'm like, it's one of the best fucking wrestlers in the world and he's just here dicking off. It's crazy.
Yes.
But yeah, so I really enjoyed that and how it flowed and how each thing went into each other. I really enjoyed that. And I saw a couple comments saying that it kind of reminded them of old AEW with the flow like that. I would tend to agree.
Yeah.
I would tend to agree.
It was back to its shining
I
days.
love when a wrestling show feels cohesive like that. And Raw dabbled a little bit in that too this week. So more of that, please.
Yes, I like that too.
Yeah, I'll take seconds on that.
My number 3 pick is one that we've already talked about, but I just love goofy wrestling, and it was The Miz. Mm-hmm. I loved whenever he wrestled the Invisible John Cena. Whenever he did that, I was just like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, he got so into it. So, I just love Miz right now.
My number 3, and this might explain why I went in so hard on the ads. My number 3 is just Christian's presence in general in AEW.
Oh, that could be why you got so mad.
I feel like the TNT title was directionless for a very long time, bouncing between Darby and Wardlow, and Powerhouse Hobbs, back to Wardlow, and then Joe had it for a little bit. I felt like the TNT title was very directionless.
I agree.
I feel like Christian is absolutely killing it right now. I even saw a video recently, like it got wholesome at the end, but Christian was doing this meet and greet, and this girl had an AEW title belt, like a kid's title belt, and he took it from her and put it on his shoulder.
And he was like mean mugging her.
And he like stared her down.
But then at the end, he smiled at her, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, he broke a little bit at the end.
He did.
And it's also funny, like Christian actually like cracked up a little bit. I can't remember if it was this week or last week, but he said something to Darby, and he was like, you've been doing something for 2 years, and Darby had said 3, and the crowd corrected him, and Christian heard it, and then he just kind of laughed to himself for a second, and then continued his promo.
Yes.
Which, kudos. Apparently, Darby should take from that, wow, the crowd listened. Like,
yes, I know, and I'm surprised because I like Darby Allin. He is I don't know how he's walking still the way he wrestles, but sometimes his promos are a little dry to me, and like,
I feel like Darby definitely wrestles a style that's wrestle fast, retire early.
He's gonna I mean, he wants to literally go up, what is it, Mount
Everest.
Mount Everest. Dude, if he actually does it, there's a good possibility dude ain't gonna make it back.
Yeah, because we watched the video on like what it's like to climb Mount Everest, because we're those people. And
we'll never actually do it, but what's it like?
It's pretty horrifying. Like, if that's what Darby wants to do, Darby, I wish you the best. I hope you survive. But, I mean, as small as Darby is, he can't have that much body.
No.
Like,
so, oh man, but...
What if Darby's version of climbing Mount Everest is just having a helicopter hover over Mount Everest, and he just jumps off it, lands on it on a skateboard, and he's like, I've climbed Mount Everest. I know he's not going to do that, but
that's funny.
It'd be funny. And somebody animate that too.
Oh my gosh.
But going back to Christian, Christian brings a whole level of heat to the show that has really been missing since MJF has been turning face.
And I get so excited as soon as I see the countdown. I'm like, yes,
I see that
he is here.
I see that countdown. And in my head, my first thought is, it's the countdown till we fuck shit up.
I cannot. I'm like, what is he going to say? Like, oh my, like he is so good at like teetering that line of going too far, but not. I know he goes too far actually, and I love it.
I would say it's the equivalent of he puts his toe on the line and leans over it. I think that's what he does.
Yeah,
that's what he does.
I just love it.
And honestly, like Don Callis gets great heat. Don't get me wrong, but Don Callis gets heat because of what he did. Christian gets heat because of who he is as a character.
And I'm just so happy for Christian because he was seen as like the sidekick in WWE, I think.
Yeah.
And
Edge was always focused on.
He has proven that like he is awesome. And sometimes you'll get like, we want Edge chants, but it's like, I know damn well that you guys do not want Edge right now. Because there is no way in hell I want Edge over Christian.
I like Edge. I like Edge a lot.
Yes.
But if I had to pick between the two, who I would get to see versus I might not see them again, I'm sorry, I'm picking Christian.
I agree. And I know that sounds terrible, but I just love Christian.
I do too. And I love how everybody's kind of fed into it. Like Nyla Rose, before All Out, which Nyla Rose's Twitter game's fantastic anyway. But Nyla Rose put on Twitter, she was like, just came across Christian Cage backstage who was in a really good mood. I'm going to call and check on my dad. Like, I love that his whole shtick is if you have a dead father, your ass is grass. How dare you have a dead father? Like,
and he always hits on the mom.
Yeah.
He's doing that with Nick Wayne right now.
Yeah. And it's just hilarious because Nick Wayne just sells it like, oh. And like Christian just does his thing, man. So, Christian in general is my number 3 because I think he's doing I didn't watch the TNA stuff, so for me, this is the best work I've ever seen. And it's just been fantastic. It's been entertaining every week. Like you said, I see that countdown. I know I'm getting out my notebook to note down what he's doing.
Yes.
So, thank you, Christian. Please stick around forever.
Well, my number 2 pick of the week was something, again, we already talked about, was MJF and Smojo in-ring trash talking, and then it gets into Roddy, and then it's just, I don't know. MJF right now is gold for me right now also. And he can do no wrong for me right now.
This whole thing started with MJF being the despicable heel, and now where he's gone. This has really highlighted how well MJF can flirt back and forth, because that's not something that's easy for wrestlers to do.
No.
There's some heels that try to turn babyface, and it just does not work. You have some babyfaces that try to turn heel, and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And it is pretty rare to find somebody that skirts both sides so well, and MJF is proving that's him.
Yes, agreed.
That's absolutely him.
Agreed.
So yeah, I agree with your assessment on MJF there.
Yes.
So
are we ready for our number 1 picks?
I haven't given my number 2.
Oh, I thought you just did.
I need to have my number 2.
Oh, okay.
Because my number 2, it's time for me to gush over Gable and Gunther.
Oh, gosh.
So this match was everything I wanted it to be, aside from the ads. And I wish I would have got it at Payback and seen it live.
I agree.
I would have lost my shit.
I really wish it was a Payback.
The way that Chad Gable was sitting 4 months ago, and I was on this podcast talking about how he was underappreciated, and I loved what he did,
Yes.
and I wish more people would take notice, to where he is now, to where he had a main event with Gunther, build up the entire show of Raw, was building to this match. Gable and Gunther got their own solo promos that they ran. Gable cut a serious promo.
Yes.
They really did an excellent job of making Gable feel important, where 3 months ago this would have been laughable.
Yeah.
And I love Chad Gable, and I would have said this is laughable.
Yeah.
But the way they built him up, and even though he lost, just the way that he fought from underneath and the match that he got out of Gunther and what happened, this was excellent.
It
I mean,
was.
even Meltzer recognized it with a 4.5-star rating.
Yes.
Like, this was really well done. This is how you build stars. This is how you can take somebody and put them against somebody that you really don't need to lose because the record's right there.
Yeah.
And let me just say, Gunther breaking Honky Tonk Man's record was absolutely the right call.
Yes. Yes.
That being said, Gable was in a position where you had to make sure that Gable lost, but you wanted him to look good, you wanted the crowd behind him, and you want something for him coming out the other side, and you don't want to turn everybody on Gunther.
No.
So it's a very delicate thing that you're working with, and I would say it was executed to perfection. The match was fantastic, which I knew it would be with those two. Gable was the ultimate David in a David Goliath story. The ultimate David. The only one I think that would even give him a run for his money is Darby Allin. But I think the fact that Darby's a little unhinged gives him a little more of an edge. Gable's just a goofball.
Yeah.
A goofball that's smaller than everybody else.
Yeah.
But this match highlighted what his strengths are. And I really think this match showed that all of us that have said, because I know I'm not the only one. I know I'm not special in that regard. All of us that have said that Chad Gable could be this generation's Kurt Angle, we were all validated by what they did on Raw. And it was fantastic, and I loved it. And I'm so happy for Chad Gable that he got that moment. Especially, like you said, the crying kids was really funny. But I love that Gable got that moment and got that build-up and got that. Because that's something that I think for him is well-deserved, even after the Shorty G days and all of the uncertainty of what they were going to do with him. Just excellent, excellent stuff. And I couldn't be happier for Chad Gable. It was great. It was a great moment. It was a great main event.
Yeah.
Definitely go check it out if you have time. It was awesome. And let's go Gunther. Let's see how far we can take this.
It was really good, yes.
Yes. So that was my number 2. I told you I was going to gush over it.
Now we're ready for my number 1.
Yeah, you're number 1.
I was trying to do a drum roll, but I have no rhythm. My number 1, though, is the Sammy and Jay reuniting on Raw, and then how everybody on Raw was just not happy to have him back. So I just loved it. I love that Jey Uso is kind of separated from the bloodline, and he's not in all that wackiness that's going on over there. And I don't know. I just loved this.
Yeah.
Loved it, loved it, loved it.
It was good stuff.
I was very happy that Sammy came out. And was like, hi, friend.
Yeah. Hey, man, what's up?
And then I love how Jay teased, and he was like, that wasn't very Uso of me whenever he didn't respond to Sammy, want to shake his hand or something. And loved it.
Yeah, it was good stuff.
Did I sound like Fran Drescher there in The Nanny?
I don't know. Your laugh's not quite annoying enough.
Not quite annoying.
Yeah, I said what I said. No regrets. No regrets.
Gosh.
My number 1 is probably going to be seen as a cop-out. And it was technically within this week of wrestling. But my number 1 was All Out, and I'll explain why. I did All Out as a whole show because if I would have done All Out, if I would have factored All Out into this list, it would have taken 7 of the 10 spots.
All Out definitely surpassed All In.
You think so?
Yes.
You think so?
Absolutely, I think so.
Here's my thing with All In, or All Out. So, no matter what side of the coin that you fall on in this whole fight backstage situation, and I know people that fall on both sides. I'm very close to people that fall on both sides. But I think you can't deny that AEW took a show that everybody said from the get-go was an afterthought because of All In, felt like it had no build because of All In, put together a card that everybody was like, that's a Dynamite card. Yeah. I'm not paying $50 for that. Add to that all of the distraction from what happened with All In, with the backstage issues, the contract that ended up being terminated this week. A lot of shit surrounding All Out's existence.
Which is so typical for AEW. They have this big thing and somebody ruins it.
It is.
I'm not even saying like CM Punk. I mean, in general, something happens. Yeah. Like with the first Forbidden Door, everybody was hurt. Like something always happens.
Yeah. So, how does AEW respond to all this? Well, they pull a pivot. They weren't going to have Punk and Starks because Punk was suspended later to be terminated. So what's Tony Khan do? Tony Khan goes and grabs Bryan Danielson, throws him in the ring with Ricky Starks, and they put on a 5-star classic.
With a strap, in a strap match.
In a strap match when Bryan Danielson is coming off of a broken fucking arm. The guy is the best wrestler in the world. I don't think there's any debate.
I will agree. He has definitely proven that.
But not just that. That's not the only reason it's number one. The reason that it's number one is every match fucking brought
it. Slapped.
Every match brought it. Soho and Statlander was fantastic. Tony Storm went crazy, which added to the funness of it.
Yes.
Danielson and Starks. Yes. Hobbs and Miro. Man, was the crowd hot for Hobbs and Miro.
CJ Perry, a.k.a. Lana,
showed
came
up.
back.
We're doing something interesting with Miro because Miro just walked away from her.
Because he was mad because, not Lana, CJ Perry helped him, and
Yeah, so he walked away from that.
Side note, though, I don't mean to interrupt you, but just in case you guys didn't know, CJ Perry has, like, a brilliant mind, according to, like, reports that are coming out, because
I think it was Will Washington.
She's literally, written most of Miro's stuff.
Yeah, she's come up with a lot of the Redeemer stuff.
So, like, I didn't expect that. No offense to CJ Perry, just based on what we saw on WWE, I wouldn't have expected that.
Yeah.
So, like, I was very impressed with that.
Yeah. You had Joe and Shane Taylor was what it was, but we got the moment of Joe shoving MJF.
Yes.
So that worked out. You had MJF and Adam Cole in the opener. It was a show that everything in the universe went against it succeeding.
Yes.
And it still ended up being a fantastic show. We ended up, as much as we said we weren't going to do it, we ended up biting the bullet and dropping the $50 for it. And honestly, it was worth every penny.
Yeah.
It absolutely was worth every penny.
Was.
So to be able to have all of that distraction around and still be able to put on something like that, I think says a lot about AEW. Yes, AEW can be a shit show sometimes. I like to call it my favorite little mess because it is. It's a mess most of the time.
Yeah.
But I can't help but love it because whenever the shit gets the stinkiest and the mud gets the deepest, they turn around and they do something like this. They take a card that no one took seriously, everybody said was an afterthought, and they made it count, and I have to respect that.
Absolutely.
So that is why that's my number one this week.
Agreed. I like it.
So that's been our show this week.
Yes.
So make sure to subscribe, follow us on all of our socials. On Facebook, it's Figures and Flippy S. Instagram, also Figures and Flippy S. Leave a comment. Let us know what your best and worst moments of wrestling were this week.
It's okay if they're different. That's a great thing about wrestling. We can all have different opinions, and it doesn't make us any less of a fan.
Yeah, if you want to go in our comments and shit on Christian Cage, go for it. I hope not, but if you want to do that,
that's your opinion.
It's your opinion, and you're entitled to it.
What's that saying? Opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one.
Yeah.
I actually got a saying right. I always mess it up.
Yeah. But yeah, just follow us on the socials, like, subscribe, comment. We'll be back next week to talk about the upcoming week in wrestling. There's lots of wrestling out there. Go watch it. Find your favorite.
Yes.
And then we will see you guys next week.
Later.
Did you like that video? Like, subscribe, and comment to the Figures and Flippy Shit Wrestling Podcast. Oh, yeah.